What is up? Welcome to Every Single Guitars, where I will review every single guitar ever made, or at least that is my goal. Today I have a vintage Gibson guitar. This is actually, I think this is the oldest guitar I've ever owned in my life, or that I've ever bought in my life. This is a 1953 Gibson L-48 Archtop guitar. I'm just gonna close this case just in case. Very weird looking guitar. I bought this guitar off I don't know if he's a retired musician, but he was like a dude in his mid to late 30s. I think he was like mid 30s. He was from Central Valley, California, and I actually bought a couple of guitars off him at once because he was getting rid of a lot of his gear, and I asked him like, yo, like if I buy a couple, like, you know, let's negotiate, like let's make a deal up. And we both agreed to a good deal. So this is one of the guitars that was part of the bundle. Dude, for a 53, dude, this is an incredible condition. I mean, this is almost like, I mean, obviously you see some wear because, dude, it's like 70 years old almost. But overall, I mean, there's like no cracks, there's like no like separation of the binding. Yeah, there's nothing major wrong about this guitar. There's like some rust here, but dude, this is like a 50s guitar. I'm not really a big acoustic guy, and I don't even think this is an acoustic. This is an Archtop. I'm not an Archtop guy either. I think this is the first Archtop guitar that I've actually owned. You know, I restrung it, I took the strings out, and I kind of cleaned it up. First impression, really light guitar. Obviously it's because it's hollow, but I'd say like, dude, this is like 4 or 5 pounds. It's really light. But even though it's light, and even though it's like 60, 70 years old, it still feels really solid. It feels like I mean, it is a very well-built guitar. I don't know too much about Gibson histories, but people say for the most part that, you know, vintage Gibsons, like Gibsons from like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, like the quality control was much higher, like blah blah blah. And if that is the case, then there is some truth to it, because you know, I've held several guitars in my life, and this is one of the more higher quality acoustic style guitars that I've held. This neck is a really weird neck. It's like fat. It's a fat neck, but it's like fat but kind of long, like a fat U. It's not a V. It might be a C, but it's like a weird. I don't know if it's like Archtop necks are different, because like I said, this is my first Archtop guitar that I've owned, but it's like a fat neck. It's not really a neck where you can like shred like really quickly, but I don't think that's the point of a Archtop guitar. I think it's Archtop. I'm not really too sure what it's for, but it's like jazz, blues related, I guess. An interesting thing about this guitar is when I took the strings off to clean it, and this part just fell off. This is the bridge, I believe, and I thought that this would be like glued on or whatever, but this shit just literally fell off, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, did I break it? I mean, I put it back into the exact same spot, and there was no problem with it. And actually, I was very surprised, because I thought that the action would be really high or like really low, and I thought that, you know, there would be a lot of buzzing and stuff like that, but there is no issue. I mean, I literally just took the strings off, old strings off, and put on new strings. Like different gauges too, like these are all like different brand strings, because I ran out of strings, and like it plays like fine. There's a little bit of buzzing. Another interesting thing about this guitar is the serial number. I asked the owner where the serial number was, because usually I thought that Gibson serials are either like on the back, like right here, or I think it's like in the sound, there's like a paper, you know how like in an acoustic guitar, there's like a paper inside the sound hole and there's like information written on the paper. But for this guitar, there's no paper or anything like that. The number is literally just printed. It's like stamped in the wood on the back. I can't even read it, it's too dark. But that's one thing that I thought was pretty unique, because you know, I assumed that the serial number would be here, but it wasn't. And I'm not sure if these are original tuners, because these just look way too brand new. But regardless, like, these are quality tuners. I haven't actually asked them about the tuners, but yeah, these tuners just look really new, as well as the nails. The nails look, it looks too silver, you know, compared to like the silver on this part, or like this. Like this is like rust, so you can tell that this is original. I don't know, I thought this is like, for me personally, I'm not really a big fan of guitars like this to own for a long time, because dude, like I said, even though it's good quality, I still feel kind of scared to play this. Like if I like bump it like that on a hard surface, like I think this is gonna break very easily. So but it's a cool guitar that I just got just to see, you know, what it's like, because I've never owned an Archtop, so I just wanted to see, you know, if I would like it, if I wouldn't like it, but just to play around. I don't really play too much jazz, but you know, if I was a jazz player, then I'd probably prefer this type of guitar, because the sound and the tone isn't like a traditional acoustic guitar. And I think it's because, a large part is because this setup is different from a traditional acoustic, as well as the F holes. An acoustic guitar doesn't have that. So like the tone that this guitar produces is just completely different, even though it's a hollow body, even though it's like an acoustic style. 1953 Gibson L-48, oldest guitar that I've owned to date. Hella good condition for like a 60-70-year-old guitar. Very little fretwear as well. Build quality for a 50s guitar, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. Tone, I mean, it sounds good, but it's not really my type of tone that I look for. So at the tone, I'd give it like a 7. Would I buy it? Would I pay, you know, 1.5 for this guitar to own for life? Probably not, because this is not my style of guitar. It's not my style of genre to play. But if you're into jazz, if you're into like the hollow body, like Archtop type guitars, and I think this is the guitar that you should definitely check out, because it's a completely different feeling from an acoustic.